Hi, okay, so this is going to be the third and probably final video. Before we get to the real meat of what this channel is about, I wanted to talk a little bit more about why I'm doing this as opposed to what triggered me doing this. And you know, I had to think about what it was that I would offer, and we talked a lot about what I will be doing and kind of what the idea was behind this. But when I think about becoming a true active part of the Lego AFOL world, you know, I think about Brickworld and the connections and people that we've talked to there, but it goes way beyond that. I think part of it is just saying, hey, you know, Brickworld is this amazing gathering of all these interesting people with this joy about them. You know, there's something about Lego that brings out happiness. I think people enjoy that when they're working with it and they're by themselves, or when they're talking about it, or where they're going to the store, or whether they're at Brickworld talking about different builds and talking about different techniques, or even just doing something like a parts draft where you're interacting with other AFOLs and trying to find pieces that are interesting and talking about different builds that you're working on and things like that. It's really rare to have this kind of diverse background of so many different kinds of people, all who are united through this interest and love of Lego. And it's such an incredibly positive place. I mean, the sad part is that we just don't have enough communities like this in the real world. And so I think that really Lego goes way beyond what these little plastic bricks tangibly are. I really think it's about people tapping into their dreams and their childhoods, where you used to just play and create things for the sake of creating them. There wasn't a purpose behind everything. And that's actually part of the big reason why I want to do this, is because I don't have an objective other than to enjoy the journey. So much of what I've done throughout my career, throughout what I do with my business pursuits and stuff, there's always a goal in mind. There's always this is how we turn this into a profitable business, or this is how we achieve this objective. And to me, I have ideas, and you'll learn in upcoming videos just how big some of these ideas are. But I also don't really have a hard deadline. I don't really have an absolute requirement to do any given thing. I see where there's potentially no end to how much I continue to enhance what it is that I'll be doing. But I think that that's part of the fun, is to give me the space to slow down and to just enjoy the challenge for the sake of the challenge, not for some other pursuit. And I think that to me is really what's driving me for this, is to say, can I do the things that I like to do without this kind of businessy mindset in mind? And I think that it all kind of happened at the same time where, and I'm sure I'll talk about some of my thoughts on this topic in other contexts, but my son's getting older. He's going to be an upperclassman in high school now, and he has really evolved into a person who understands and participates in the community, not just at Brickworld, but throughout Instagram and all of the other social media and different events and things like that, you know, it's about the people. It's about the people so much more than it's about the bricks. And in most of my hobbies, the people are what make it worthwhile. And definitely seeing that with my son has been great, but I also see, like, there's a place for him in this world. There's a place for me. There's a place for everyone. And I really enjoy that. And I think that that's something that really is not necessarily unique to Lego, but it is definitely something that is amplified through this medium. And it seems to be this common ground that makes positivity and inclusivity paramount. Like that's everywhere in this space. I want to talk a little bit about just an early experience I had. So I just started doing this maybe a week or 10 days ago, and started to put together some videos, starting to put together the channel, starting to figure out how to actually record things, and just all this stuff before I get into this real build project. Right now, it's like mobilizing the content so I can document this whole project ahead. In some of these videos, while they're important from getting like the baseline documented and talking about why and all of that, these are not really the point of this whole exercise. It's somewhat as a test, somewhat of a just making sure the mechanics work. But I will tell you, since I've gotten back from Brickworld 2026, I have been on Lego social media, Lego TikTok and Lego Twitter and all that, like for a couple weeks now. And I will tell you, like, I am seeing so much in common with the world that I have become very familiar with over Brickworld over many years. Now looking and finding myself on social media doing this, it is so great. Like there was a TikTok, and I won't drop the name, but there was a TikTok pretty well attended. They were doing a live stream, had a few other people on the call, and I came in and I followed the channel. I'm like, they're doing interesting stuff. They're having a nice conversation. And they were immediately like, A-Train builds, come on in, welcome back. Can we follow, they were all following my page. They're like, where's your content? Let us see some content. I'm like, we're getting there. Like, just, come back to it or whatever. They remembered me the next time I came on. But it was just like, these are people that have no idea who I am. I'm just a name on a screen, and they don't see me the way I'm seeing them. And I've done content, so I know that that's kind of just how it goes, but they're just joy and welcoming. It's like, hey, come on in. It's a place for you too. That is what we all want. And that is the thing. Like, they don't care if I'm building sets or I'm building a mock or if I'm doing whatever. They just know, hey, here's a person who found us on TikTok who might be looking for some people. And in one of the their live streams later, and people were talking about some pretty heavy stuff. It had nothing to do with Lego. It just had to do with being human and helping each other through those aspects of journey and their lives. And I think that's really, to me, what makes this all so much more worthwhile is like, hey, this is life. This is experiencing that interaction and those people that you might not have ever met otherwise, and seeing the beauty and the challenge and the fun that you can have together. And if that's not what life's all about, then I don't know what it is, right? And so like I've long thought about the source of happiness, and to me, it really resonates the idea that happiness isn't about what you consume; it's about what you create. And it's really about saying, how can you bring new things into the world? How can you bring in, service to others? How can you help someone build something, do something that makes the world slightly better in its own little way? But that, to me, is a much richer experience. If you think about the times where you've been happy versus the times that you've been sad, a lot of times when you are sad, it comes back to some sort of unmet expectation. You didn't get the joy or the pleasure out of something that you thought you would. Something didn't go your way. And you're thinking about all of these kind of tangible, like, did I get this or not? I feel slighted. I'm like, oh, so unfair. But the reality is, like, when you start from a place of gratitude, you start from a place of, I just want to bring more of this joy. I want to bring more of this. I want to see if I can help those people. Because the people on the TikTok, they were like, hey, A-Train builds, come on in. They were just looking to add to that. And that meant a lot to me, because I saw, like, they didn't have to do that. They could have been inclusive. They could have just said, okay, we're just going to, turn towards each other and not worry about anybody on the outside. I don't know if inclusive is the right word for that, but you know what I'm saying. And that, to me, is why I think Lego has become something so much bigger than a toy. And I think that that's something that, the people that are doing it in whatever capacity they're doing it, at whatever level they're doing it, I think that's where joy can be found in a very small random bin or an amazing, UCS Death Star build or whatever it is. And I think that that's really not the point. The point is, can we find common ground? Can we find a place where people are lifted up from their interactions with one another? And so that's something that's interesting for me to explore. And as we continue down this path, I'm curious about how the build process will go and some of the challenges that are certainly in front of me. And in the next video, I promise I will explain what it is that this project's going to be all about. But I'm really more interested in saying, okay, well, how can I share what I've learned? How can I share what we've done wrong? How can I share, the joy and the sadness and the frustration and the breakthroughs and all of those things that happen when you're trying to do something that you don't know how to do? And I think that journey and that sharing is equally important to me, because if I can help somebody else through that or make them a little bit more comfortable taking on something that's intimidating, right? It's intimidating for me to have the idea of going out and doing this, especially in the context that we'll be doing it. I think this is going to be a really fun adventure. And the more I think about it, the more I want to keep it focused on that every day, trying something, learning something, making one step forward towards that end goal. And whether that takes me to Brickworld of 2027 or 2028 or whatever, it's that journey that I want to enjoy every step of the way. So with that, that's really the last thing I really wanted to kind of connect together in this particular video before we move on to building and doing stuff. And I'll be trying to do some live streams. It's still a little confusing to me how all the TikTok and Instagram stuff works, but I keep talking to my son. I don't know when I became the old person looking to their children for help, but that's what it's become. But I'm going to continue to improve my skills in that end as well. And we're going to get started with this build here really soon. So I'm excited for what comes ahead, and I'm excited to have you with me on this journey. If you are interested in following and participating and doing it, keep a lookout for the lives that I'll be doing as I'm going through that build process, but certainly follow me here and you'll see the highlights through the long form videos that we'll do on YouTube, as well as some of the shorts and all of that other stuff that comes along with it. So with that, thank you for being with me on this. Definitely subscribe, and we will be revealing very soon what this massive build project is going to be. And I think that's going to be kind of exciting for a lot of people. So with that, thank you for joining me, and we will see you on the next one.